Now, first and foremost, we have not actually considered anywhere eccentric loading. Okay, we have always assumed that the loads are vertical, or for that matter in the problem nowhere anything about eccentricity was considered. However, we are supposed to know how do we analyze a footing when the load is eccentric. What do you mean by that is, see, if in a plan, let's say this is a square footing, okay? Now always, this is a square foundation, we expect that the load should act right at the center, that is here, correct, no? But what if the load is actually acting here or here? So if it is acting here at this point, let's say I'll use some other color, yeah, maybe this pink color. So let's say it is acting here at this pink color. Okay, if it's acting here, then it is eccentric around with about y-axis. So it has an eccentric eccentricity ex. However, let's say if it is acting here at this blue point, then it has eccentricity ex as well as ey. And this both has to be reflected. You have to consider this when you are analyzing the problem. Now let's say you have a problem wherein the same problem that we were considering. My same problem, I'm keeping the same data, the depth of the foundation being 1 meter and the width of the foundation be whatever it was, 3 meters if I'm not mistaken. So let's say this was 3 meters. Okay. So now additional information that is given to you is that the horizontal component of the weight is 20 kilonewton. Okay, so it's 20 kilonewton here I have mentioned here. Okay, and the vertical component is 200 kilonewton. Now over here it is acting along the vertical line, so the force is, or the resultant force is only eccentric around y-axis. It has eccentricity of only ex. Can you see? So here in this case, our resultant load is only away from y-axis. It's not away from x-axis. Now, so let's calculate the eccentricity. What is the vertical load? 200 kilonewton. Horizontal load is 20 kilonewton. Eccentricity will be calculated as h upon v into z. Okay. Now z is not depth of foundation. Huh? Z is the height at which h is acting. So in our case it is 2 meters. So 20 upon 200 into 2. I have just taken this virtual fictitious data. Okay. So you get your eccentricity as 0.2 meters. That means your resultant is going to move 0.2 meters away from the vertical axis. Okay. Now, since the load is eccentric, width B and L. Now, this is a statement. Okay. Since whenever the load is eccentric, width B and length L has to be reduced. How much we reduce? You reduce width by 2 times the eccentricity. Similarly, length by 2 times the eccentricity. Now, this is when it is eccentric around width as well as length. In our case, the load is only eccentric about y-axis. So, this is not applicable for this problem. This is just a generalized statement that I am making. When it is eccentric about L and B, you will apply both. When it is only eccentric about B, you will apply only corrections to B. Okay? And then accordingly, your area also will change. If your B changes, L changes, your area also changes. So coming back to the problem that we were solving, Ex we found out as 0.2 meters. So B dash will be given as B minus 2 times eccentricity. So 3 minus 0.4, that is 2.6. So if the footing is having this kind of eccentricity, now your equation of QF, the B value that you will substitute will be 2.6, not 3. Not 3. You have to deduct some value because of the eccentricity. Okay. However, since it is only eccentric in one direction, L value, length of the footing will not change. Now L nowhere appears in your ultimate load bearing capacity. Okay, it doesn't appear, but it does appear at the end when you are going to if you are actually finding out the bearing capacity as load upon area. In that case, it will appear. Okay, so now the inclination factor, how does it change? Now this inclination factor depends on this inclined load. Eccentricity will be because of inclined load. Okay, now the equation that appears in your IS code, okay, 6403, IQ and I gamma is given by 1 minus alpha upon 90, 1 and I gamma is given as 1 minus alpha upon 5. So I'll just write this as, this is same as IC also. Okay, so now how do I calculate this alpha? Now you look at this. This is horizontal and this is vertical, no? What is vertical? Vertical is equal to Z. Horizontal is eccentricity, that is 0.3. So I can write this angle that I have marked beta as, beta is equal to tan inverse of opposite of arm adjacent, that is 2 by 0.3. So I'll get some value over here. Some value I'll get 90 minus beta will give me alpha, right? So once I get this beta as tan inverse upon 2 upon 0.3, you'll get some value. How do I get this alpha? Alpha is the angle that the load makes with the vertical, correct? So how do I get this alpha? 90 minus beta will give me alpha, correct? So that gives me the final alpha value as 8.53. So you substitute it over here, you will get the value of IC and I gamma. Now these you directly substitute in your final QF equation. Now what are the other ways you can be questioned during your examination? You may be asked to find out how the bearing capacity will change when there are fluctuations in water table. So water table is given in our previous problem. Let's say water table was given at foundation level, that is at 1 meter. What if water table rises? Then how it will change? What if water table falls down? Then how it will change? Okay, so you should be able to, so you'll have to find out SPC in each case and find out the percentage variation. Okay, then in some cases you may be asked to use those fundamental equations, okay, to determine gamma. How do you determine gamma set? How do you determine gamma? So E may be given, porosity may be given. You may be asked to find Voigt's ratio. How do you find Voigt's ratio from porosity? E, like in some problems, no, they've given like this. They've given porosity, so you find out E is equal to N1 minus N. So once E is given, they may give you specific gravity, and actually they may ask you to find out the gamma value. Okay, so all those fundamental relations that we derived or we used in your GTech 1, they are there. That's why I always say previous semesters, whatever we learn is also considered as a part of syllabus in the next semester. So all those fundamental concepts, okay, so all those equations for gamma, to determine gamma using the fundamentals, okay, the first principles, all those you all please remember. Okay, so right now the next thing is, how do you determine bearing capacity using plate load test data? Now before you continue with this, okay, you all already have the link to my website, correct? On that there is a video on plate load test and there is a video on SPT. Please go through that video and revise what is plate load test, how it is conducted. Okay, and then after that, how do we incorporate the data from the plate load test, okay, in estimating the bearing capacity? Now, effect of loading plate on bearing capacity can be given as QF is equal to M plus N into BF upon BP. BF is the width of foundation. the footing that you are going to lay. And BP is the width of plate that was used for conducting plate load test. What is M and N? M and N are factors which are, now M will include the terms which have NC and NQ, so the first two terms. Okay, and N will include the terms which have N gamma. Okay, in practically how we write this is QF is equal to QP BF upon BP. Now what is QP? QP is the bearing capacity of the that you obtain with the plate load test. So let's say you have loaded around 100 tons or 100 kilonewtons, okay, and whatever was the width, whatever was the dimensions of your area of your plate. If it was a square plate, then it will be some B square. If it was circular plate, then in pi r square, something like that. So you use the load that is applied on the plate divided by area of the plate. This will give you QP. Okay, that is load on the plate divided by area of the plate. This will give you QP. This QP you will substitute here into width of the foundation divided by width of the base plate. This will give you a value of QF. So if you are getting like this, then why do we need to do all these bearing capacity factors? Obviously this is not accurate. Okay, this is not a very accurate data. This data can be used if there is any particular term in that bearing capacity equation missing. So usually you find problems like, they will give you this load and area of the plate. They will ask you to get the value of QF, and then the question will be, what should be the dimensions of the foundation? Okay, or what? So from here you get the value of QF, you substitute that QF in your equation. So you can substitute it in this equation, you will get the right hand side, and then the question may be like, derive what should be the value of width of the foundation. So you will put the right hand side and you will get the approximate value of the width of the foundation. This is how the problems have been formulated. I do not want to go into the depth because they are very simple problems. Basic understanding how to get NQ, N gamma and all you all already know. So if at all you all want to go through, you all can go through BC Punmiya. Okay, BC Punmiya, I will give you the problem number 24.17. Go through the problem number 24.17. You will understand typically how the problems are asked. Okay.